This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. Dan is off tonight. A major new crime bill is well on its way to becoming law. A congressional conference committee today approved what President Clinton calls the toughest attack on crime in U.S. history. Republican opponents call the crime bill a waste of money. One saying it's not a Christmas tree, but the whole Emerald City of Oz. White House correspondent Rita Braver has our report.
With crime a top concern for most Americans, word that House and Senate conferees had agreed on a final version of a crime bill was news that President Clinton could use, especially with his public approval ratings down. And it came just as he addressed a Justice Department assembly of law enforcement officials from around the country.
I can tell you, this is one of the reasons that I ran for president.
In fact, the bill, which still faces a final vote in both houses, contains many of Mr. Clinton's proposals. Money for 100,000 new police officers. 3 strikes and you're out. Life in prison with no parole for felons who commit 3 violent crimes. A ban on assault weapons. New money for prisons, for drug treatment, and for special drug courts, for job and education programs to deter youths from turning to crime.
Can we really hope to rebuild the economy, rebuild our sense of community, and empower individuals if we are frightened, if we are scared, if we are burdened by crime?
The new crime-fighting package will cost more than $30 billion over 6 years, most of the funding coming from cuts in the federal bureaucracy. But Republicans who worked on the bill claim Democrats loaded it with too much money for prevention.
This bill is a big spending boondoggle that isn't going to do what we want it to do.
This is the whole Emerald City of Oz. And for that reason, I'm going to have great difficulty supporting it.
The White House predicts the bill will pass by mid-August. And if it does, that will put some pressure on the president. Because with this kind of buildup, voters will be expecting a drop in crime. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
Many, if not all, the president's men were on Capitol Hill today testifying about Whitewater. They said they did nothing to interfere with the government investigation of Mr. Clinton's financial affairs. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer reports on day 2 of the House Banking Committee's Whitewater hearings.
If he insists on raising his voice...
It was another day of nasty partisan posturing, Republicans demanding more time to dig deeper. Democratic Chairman Gonzalez in a rage.
Well, the gentleman has not stated a parliamentary inquiry. The gentleman is out of order.
Republicans seemed determined to show that administration aides had really been trying to derail the criminal probe of Whitewater last year when they tipped the White House an investigation was underway. Democrats seemed aghast anyone could even think such a thing.
I think we should start calling this wastewater as opposed to whitewater.
This is an attempt to smear the president personally.
Former White House counsel Bernard Nussbaum confirmed that White House aides were told of the investigation, but only, he said, so they could answer questions from the press.
I don't think we overreacted at all.
But I'm not saying you overreacted. I said the way you reacted.
And I don't think we reacted very intensely at all. What we did when we received the information was just attempt to put ourselves in a position to be able to respond to press inquiries, to correct any misinformation.
The photo of the day came late this afternoon as 10 current White House staffers assembled to say in one way or another, yes, there were conversations about the criminal probe, but
nothing happened.
Sometimes, they said, the conversations with Treasury officials just reflected frustration at staff foul-ups.
I did blow off steam in that conversation.
And so it went into the night. Republicans convinced they weren't getting the whole story. Democrats convinced they were. But both sides so partisan, it was hard to believe either.
And it may get even more partisan tomorrow when the Senate starts its probe by looking into how the suicide of White House aide Vince Foster fit into all of this. Connie?
Bob Schieffer on Capitol Hill, thank you. With camps in Zaire turning into mass graveyards, the U.S. military is preparing to lead an international effort to bring refugees back home to Rwanda. But the Pentagon doesn't know yet whether the Rwandan government will agree to let U.S. troops run a relief operation inside Rwanda. In the meantime, Americans are doing what they can for more than 1 million refugees on the dying fields of Zaire. Again, we caution you, the pictures in this report are disturbing. CBS News correspondent Barry Peterson reports from Zaire.
Here's a spanner. Here, use the little spanner to tighten it.
There was a lot more clean water today thanks to the Yanks. Their purification plant pumped hundreds of thousands of gallons, a lot of it right into dirty UN-supplied gasoline trucks.
It's oil, gasoline or diesel.
The Americans washed and rinsed and made do. Would you drink this?
If you had to. Better than what they got.
No choice. When trucks got to far-off camps, lines stretched a mile. UN officials hope the tiny amounts of gasoline will not be harmful. It wasn't the parting of the waters. It was the parting of the crowds obsessed by water. Even as these big water tanker trucks threaded their way through the camps, the best that these people could hope for was perhaps a pint of water. Not enough to stay alive, but maybe enough to keep hoping that tomorrow they might get more. Not a drop was wasted. What was dripping under the trucks was saved and safered. The lucky ones walked away with water for family and friends. There are signs in the camps that frustration, heat, exhaustion are taking a toll. This is what happened at one point when they tried to distribute food. He who doesn't fight goes hungry. But how to get food? It takes hours to unload planes because there is little equipment. Remember, everyone says, this is Central Africa, remote, human-powered. New American communications gear will help.
Well, let's see. I've been here a week now with the clothes on my back. The cavalry's arrived. Things are looking up.
There's talk of bringing in another kind of American know-how, machines to scoop up the corpses and dig new mass graves as the death toll approaches 2,000 a day. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Kabumba refugee camp, Zaire.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, a deadly tornado wrecks a housing development in Pennsylvania. And Eye on America, tonight teaching children a healthy fear of strangers.
So frustrating. I don't know why we can't get the receptor to come. Are you done with
Most people think we make medicines. Actually, our job is to find them.
I'm going to lunch. You coming? No, I want to get this gel running. I'll see you down there then.
On the brink of discovery, Glaxo.
Yes, there it is.
Do you have a problem with food sticking to your barbecue? Just spray All Natural Pam on a cold grill and your problem will go away. Pam makes barbecuing less sticky.
With Fixodent, I can stay active and as confident as I need to, all day.
Even in the hottest liquids, when other adhesives stop holding, Fixodent holds stronger and longer.
That's why I Fixodent and forget it.
A court hearing is scheduled in Los Angeles tomorrow for Al Cowlings, O.J. Simpson's longtime friend. But the L.A. District Attorney's Office said today it has still not decided whether to file criminal charges against Cowlings for allegedly helping Simpson evade justice. Meantime, scientists hired by the DA began critical tests today on blood evidence in the Simpson double murder case. And defense attorneys decided to send their own DNA experts to the laboratory in Maryland after all. With court permission, doctors Henry Lee and Edward Blake cut 10% of the blood samples for possible testing later by defense scientists. DNA fingerprinting of the blood could link Simpson to the murders of his former wife Nicole and Ronald Goldman, or help exonerate him. Midsummer tornadoes have left 3 people dead and many more homeless in the mid-Atlantic region. A dozen twisters touched down last night in Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. They knocked down trees and knocked out power to 80,000 homes. But the worst destruction was in a suburban housing development near Philadelphia. Correspondent Giselle Fernandez reports from the scene.
It came without warning just before midnight. A deadly twister packing up to 150-mile-an-hour winds took Limerick, Pennsylvania by surprise. A new housing development in the middle of a cornfield took a direct hit. The tornado scissored through homes like blades of a propeller. 15 houses were destroyed, 15 others damaged.
First reaction was like to roll over and cover my daughter who was sleeping with us, so if any glass broke, it wouldn't get on her.
I didn't know what to think. I was just scared.
Police officer Fitz Duffy was one of the first on the scene.
People were walking around. They didn't know what had happened. They didn't know what was going on. There was no power.
There was no light.
The 3 people who were killed in this tornado all were living in what used to be this house. As you can see, it's now been reduced to just its foundation and a pile of mangled timber and metal. The mother, father, and baby were literally blown out into the streets. Like most of the families here, they'd only been living here a year.
I'm absolutely traumatized. This is just incredible. Young families building their brand new homes, totally destroyed.
Today, families were kept away from the wreckage as inspectors worked quickly to assess which homes could be saved. But prospects look dim. Engineers predict most would have to be leveled, and that families would have to rebuild their homes along with their broken dreams. Giselle Fernandez, CBS News, Limerick Township, Pennsylvania.
In Washington state, a huge wildfire is still spreading in a national forest. The fire has doubled in size since yesterday and now covers more than 50,000 acres. 1,500 firefighters are on the scene, but they've been unable to contain it. The fire has destroyed a dozen vacation homes and hundreds more are threatened. Federal aviation officials ran into turbulence in Congress today over the distance allowed between planes in the air. The FAA established new rules in the wake of 2 fatal air crashes. But some critics say the agency didn't go far enough. Correspondent Bob Orr has the latest on that story.
Caution, wake turbulence at the intersection for departing 757.
Turbulence from 757 jets has been linked to the fatal crashes of 2 smaller planes. 8 people died in this crash in California. On Capitol Hill today, lawmakers questioned whether the FAA heeded warnings about wake turbulence.
I'm angry about this. I am very angry about this.
Following the crash, the National Transportation Safety Board urgently warned the FAA to increase the distance between 757s and planes behind them from 3 to 5 miles. The FAA decided 4 was enough.
That step was adopted following NTSB recommendations out of an abundance of caution.
There have been more than 50 reports of planes rocked by 757 wake turbulence, invisible twin horizontal tornadoes of air spiraling back from the wingtips in downward arcs. These 200-mile-per-hour winds can linger for several miles behind the jet, strong enough to knock a trailing plane out of control.
I predicted in great detail the accidents that did occur.
The FAA's former chief scientist warned his bosses just 11 days before this 1992 crash that killed 8 people. Critics are not surprised that warning was ignored.
What the FAA needs to do is respond not only to the number of people who have died, but they need to respond when people are reporting from the industry, those of us on the front line, that there is a problem.
The FAA insists its only job is safety, but it's also worried about reducing delays and increasing flights. Economic concerns requiring as little separation between planes as possible. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington's National Airport.
Stay with us for more CBS News, including health care reform, coming down to the crunch on Capitol Hill.
Everybody, I want to make sure.
You want me to do something healthy for a whole week?
Yeah, have breakfast with grape nuts. Just one little box.
I just don't know. Doing something healthy is not easy. I was very surprised. Yeah, it was easy. On the box, it tells me it's natural. Looks like it's going to be healthy, and you're surprised when it tastes good. With my 2-year-old son, a lot of times I have to leave my bowl with grape nuts. I'd come back and it's still crunchy. Have you had a 2-year-old?
Grape nuts. See what one little box can do for you.
I'm eating breakfast, healthy, and it's easy.
The RF converter output of unit XLT 735B is preset to VHF channel 3 prior to shipment. Wait. The RF converter output of unit XLT 735B is preset to VHF channel 3 prior to shipment. The RF converter output of unit XLT 735B is preset to VHF channel 3 prior to shipment.
Any questions? Radio Shack has over 25,000 people with simple answers to complicated questions. Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers.
Could we ask you a personal question? Does your mouth feel really clean? Compared to what?
What do you mean, really clean?
Does your mouth feel baking soda clean?
Yeah.
Well, not as confident as you thought, huh? Then you want the fresh, clean feeling of baking soda combined with proven germ-killing power. Introducing Baking Soda Scope. Clean feeling, great taste, fresh breath. It's a whole new way to feel kissably clean. Introducing Clean Mint Baking Soda Scope.
Another day in court for the Simpson case, and this one could be crucial. Will there be new motions or arguments from the defense attorneys over the evidence? Will Judge Ito make even bigger news? Will we finally learn what date he'll set for the beginning of the trial? We'll have complete coverage of the day's events tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Big League Baseball is back in the strike zone. Players voted today to walk out unless they have a contract by August 12th. Owners are demanding a salary cap, a limit on each club's payroll. They say that will improve competition. Players say it will wipe out their bargaining rights. On Capitol Hill tonight, Republicans and Democrats are warming up for a decisive clash over health care reform. Correspondent Linda Douglas has the latest.
Supporters of universal coverage say they'll stand on soapboxes outside the Capitol and argue their case every day until there's a health care plan.
What? Universal coverage for all? Go for it. Yeah.
Universal coverage is the main feature of the health plan to be unveiled by House Majority Leader Richard Gephardt tomorrow. His plan looks suspiciously like the much-maligned Clinton plan with some changes.
Still provides all of the president's requirements for universal coverage and a fair way to pay for it. I hope we can get 218 of my colleagues to go along with it.
That will not be easy. The Gephardt plan achieves universal coverage by requiring employers to pay 80% of insurance premiums for their employees. Small companies could opt to join the health plan that now covers federal workers, or a new government control plan called Medicare Part C, also available to the unemployed. Democratic leaders concede passing this will require Herculean effort. Some members of their own party already don't like the plan because it requires employers to pay.
I really want to avoid employer mandates. I think we can avoid employer mandates.
Hillary Clinton met with Senate Democrats who are ardent supporters of employer-financed health care, but Senate Majority Leader Mitchell has yet to find the votes to support that. Today, Republican Bob Dole suggested again waiting until next year.
And if they want to pass a bad bill this year, then I think we'll say no bill is better.
Though Republicans are trying to put the brakes on health reform, Democrats have been warned by their pollster they may lose elections this fall if they go home to campaign empty-handed. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Washington.
Makers of the popular ulcer drug Tagamet are asking the FDA for permission to sell it over the counter, but an advisory panel today recommended against it, citing possible interactions between Tagamet and other medicines a patient might be taking. The panel is also recommending against over-the-counter sales of Rogaine, the prescription baldness drug. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, those 800 phone numbers, toll-free or not toll-free? That is the question.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated.
Gas-X has the most powerful medicine to fight gas faster than antacids.
So I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of Gas-X.
To make sure every part of every Maytag refrigerator is absolutely dependable, our engineers spend day after day testing part after part for durability and performance. Over and over and over again, making theirs the second most boring job at Maytag. Maytag, the dependability people.
Imagine you just stepped on the accelerator of an Eldorado touring coupe with the North Star system by Cadillac. Suddenly you passed 60 miles per hour, and as you quickly approach 100 miles per hour, you're wondering, is this really a Cadillac? Of course, you wouldn't really do this because you're not a professional test driver on a closed track. But if you were, you could approach 150 miles per hour. The Eldorado touring coupe with the North Star system by Cadillac, creating a higher standard.
Come, try the Olive Garden's Capellini and Chicken Siciliano meal. Enjoy unlimited fresh breadsticks and salad, mouth-watering new Capellini Pomodoro, and zesty grilled chicken Siciliano, all for just $7.95. Right now! At the Olive Garden.
I usually eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. This is total Raisin Bran. I see no reason to change.
It tastes better than Kellogg's.
Oh my goodness. Total Raisin Bran has lots of 100% of a lot of vitamins and minerals. A lot of them. And Kellogg's has no 100s. Well, that's a big difference. This is a big difference.
Why settle for anything less than Total Raisin Bran?
I would buy Total Raisin Bran even without a coupon. And even without a toy in the box.
Diane never knew her father. Then she found out she was the child of rape. Now you'll find out how she got revenge. Eye to Eye at a special time tonight.
There weren't all that many sure things in life to begin with, and now it looks as if we've lost one of them. It's the 800 telephone number. Time was you could count on it to be free. No more. Here is CBS News economics correspondent Ray Brady.
Calling an 800 number? Think they're all free? Think again.
My normal billing is $25 to $30. And when I opened this billing, it was almost $220.
Indirectly, Ken Patton was a victim of this.
Just pick up the phone and call.
Dial-a-porn ads lure teenagers like Ken Patton's son to make those calls. How could 800 numbers cost? Congress and government regulators recently okayed charges on calls to computer information services. And psychics and one other business quickly jumped on the line. Were you out to give the porn operators a break?
Absolutely not.
But a lot of parents have been saying the government goofed.
We get complaints from parents complaining about children who have seen an 800 number advertised on television.
You've just connected to the hottest phone line in America.
Voices like that are costing business $100 million a year. At Motel 6, a hotel chain which advertises free local calls for guests.
We have 87,000 rooms. We've got 87,000 telephones out there.
So how much do those pricey 800 calls cost Motel 6?
They're up to about $40,000 a month.
Worse, you can't just block out an 800 number. As Ken Patton found, it's block them all out or none.
Like if my wife wants to order something out of a catalog, you cannot use the 800 exchange.
The Federal Communications Commission says it will try to clear up this matter perhaps as early as next Tuesday. But until it does, a lot of Americans may find their telephone bills as shocking as some of their calls. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
On Wall Street today, stock prices were mostly higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up more than 10 points.
We'd like to show you our new Achieva Special Edition. Well, for starters, it's got an airbag, four-wheel anti-lock brakes, air conditioning, automatic transmission, AM/FM stereo, power door locks. Sure, but that's where the really special part comes in. It's your money.
Not one of these guys has a single gray hair. Is it by chance or is it by choice? New Clairol Men's Choice. It's a technological breakthrough. A new way to blend away the gray that's so natural looking, no one can tell you did it. New Clairol Men's Choice is an easy-to-use gel that won't drip. And it works in just 5 minutes without changing your natural hair color. No gray hair, and it looks so natural. Is it by chance or is it by choice? New Clairol Men's Choice.
How can something non-alcoholic taste this good, huh?
Funny you should ask, Jim. Old Milwaukee starts with fully fermented beer and uses this Centrotherm with its unique rotating evaporator system to carefully remove the alcohol.
So, full-bodied beer flavor is never compromised?
Exactly, that's the beauty of the Centrotherm.
For a non-alcoholic brew that tastes like beer, it doesn't get any better than this.
Who said that?
Here's a Snap, Crackle, Pop quiz. What do you think this serving of Kellogg's Rice Krispie cereal costs? Including the milk.
75 cents.
$1. Nope, just 35 cents.
Wow.
Okay, let's hear it for Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
35 cents!
Is that music to your ears or what?
Making too much noise.
35 cents is a good deal. Yeah, and just part of the value in having breakfast with Kellogg's.
Learn something new every day.
Snackle, crackle, and crackle. We could call it that, yeah.
Every year in this country, an estimated 200 to 300 children are kidnapped. Some time ago, we told you the story of one of those children, Sarah Ann Wood, abducted nearly a year ago, presumed now to be dead, though her body has never been recovered. In tonight's Eye on America, Anthony Mason continues his story without an ending.
Her photograph went up this time last summer. You may remember Sarah Ann Wood's family opening a rescue center to find their 12-year-old daughter, who disappeared riding her bicycle in upstate New York. You may remember the arrest last January of Lewis Lent Jr., who drew police a map.
The suspect has identified this as a location where the body could be found.
Sarah Ann Wood's family thought they had the answer then.
My wife and I are going to have our daughter back again.
You may remember the search, the digging in the frozen ground of an Adirondack mountain park. But 6 months later, the woods are quiet. The search has stopped. Sarah's body has not been found.
We're quite confident that where we've looked, she is not there.
New York State Police Captain John Wood.
Could she still be somewhere in the Adirondack Park? Certainly. Could he have intentionally misled us? Certainly.
Maybe he lied. Maybe he simply forgot where the body was buried. Whichever, Lewis Lent Jr. is now being held here in the Berkshire County House of Corrections, awaiting trial on kidnapping and murder charges. He has recanted his confession and is no longer talking to the police.
I am a person who has made mistakes in judgment, Lent wrote in a letter from prison, but never in my life have I ever kidnapped or killed anyone. But police have not given up. They were digging again in Adams, Massachusetts this month, searching for clues. Investigators who've pieced together the life of Louis Lent still believe he may be a serial child killer. And so does Bob Wood, Sarah's father.
I have convicted him in my mind already. He is the one who took my daughter and murdered her.
But that knowledge isn't enough.
We're forced to try to bring some normalcy to our life without properly attending to our beloved daughter and burying her a Christian burial with love and respect as opposed to a hasty burial by a criminal.
The Sarah Ann Wood Rescue Center has not closed up shop completely. 4.5-year-old Callie Ann Polton disappeared in East Rochester, New York in May. They're sending out her picture now. Across this whole region, across the whole country, parents have learned a frightening lesson.
How do you say no? No! Good, nice and loud.
At the NACOG school in Rutland, Massachusetts, the curriculum now includes how to say no.
It means that they tell you to do it, you say no, you don't want to do it.
Right.
How to identify a kidnapper's tricks.
Can you think of one trick that someone might use to have you do something you might not want to do?
Your mother is really hurt and she called me to pick you up.
Oh, Chris, excellent.
This fall, Bob Wood will go into the schools himself. For this preacher, it has become a crusade.
I have always wanted to go back to who I was and what my life was like. You know, that's wishful thinking. I know what pain is now, and it will always be a part of my life.
The rescue center is still open. In Sarah's name, Bob Wood has become a restless soldier, fighting to spare other parents his pain. In New Hartford, New York, I'm Anthony Mason for Eye on America.
And that's our news. Coming up on Eye to Eye, after 51 years, a daughter of rape gets revenge. Also, something scary is happening to men. We'll tell you about a medical mystery that could affect you. Eye to Eye, we're on tonight at a special time, 10 Eastern and Pacific, 9 Central Time. See you then. And again tomorrow here on the CBS Evening News. Thank you for joining us. For Dan Rather and all of us at CBS News, good night.
Experience CBS News.
Another day in court for the Simpson case, and this one could be crucial. Will Judge Ito set a trial date? Complete coverage tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.